This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Jurukowski, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome to this week's special episode with Alex Ikonn. Alex is an amazing entrepreneur who started several businesses, but was once a poor young immigrant kid. If you like success stories, if you like changing your own life, you're truly gonna enjoy this show with Alex. Check it out and enjoy. You know, I'm so blessed to be able to meet with people just like yourself. You're a super chill guy, but there's so much more to that. So if I could just ask you a little bit about your early life, like what was going on? Do you have any specific memories, maybe a good memory or a bad memory that kind of changed the trajectory on your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in Russia.
Yeah.
Really cold Russia. It's like near Kazakhstan, this little place called Orenburg. And, you know, growing up, I actually didn't have any big dreams of like moving to the States and coming to America or building a business or anything like that. I think I would just grow up just as a regular kid figuring things out. And my life really started when my parents decided to immigrate to Canada. And I thought I was moving to US because I think when you come from Europe or anywhere in the world, you always watch Hollywood movies and you're like, that's what America is. You know, you don't even call the United States, it's like America.
Yeah.
And I thought Canada, I didn't know what Canada, I'm like, maybe it's one of the states. And so we moved to Canada, and I think like that's my earliest childhood memory, was really getting on that plane, traveling to Canada, arriving there, and then beginning this whole new life. And what it really taught me is just a different perspective on the world and how the world has different sides to it. So for myself, it was really, I think it was pivotal for me, and I'm so grateful to my parents who risked that, make that big move without ever being in Canada, to move to Canada and take their kids with us and give us these opportunities. So I think a lot of times as immigrants, or even people who were born in the US or Canada, really take it for granted how special it is to be in these places. So even though I'm back in Europe now, I'm really appreciative for coming to Canada and opportunities that country gave me, because I wouldn't be where I am if I was, for example, in Russia, just because the system, maybe I may have, but I feel like there's a lot more opportunities and it's a lot easier to progress in entrepreneurship on this side of the world.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit. There you are in Canada, a young kid, immigrant. How was it to learn the language and adjust to new friends and all of those things, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, when they see me, they don't think of, like, let's say, especially, you know, coming to a new country, being an immigrant. You know, when you're an immigrant, it's hard for the parents. My parents divorced fairly quickly, within a year. And now and before I came to Canada, I refused to learn English. I'm like, I don't need to learn English. So I came in, I literally knew no English. I'm like 10 years old. Come to a brand new school, and in Russia we dress differently. So I grew up where in school you have to wear, I still do to this day, a white dress shirt, a blazer, dress pants, dress shoes. Very, like, that's just what you wear to school. And I show up in my, you know, like American or Canadian school dressed up like that, and immediately also like getting like, who is this kid? You know, where is he coming from? And I guess for me, having that really perspective of like, okay, you need to adapt somehow to the system. So I did, in a way, adapt to the whole thing, but it was also hard. It was hard because, like I said, having parents divorced, not knowing the language, you kind of just figure it out. Same thing. So you have to adjust to your situation. So I have to understand that, hey, I stand out way too much. And it's okay to stand out, but like, how do I make friends? Well, I have to make friends. I have to fit in somehow. And so I adjusted my clothing, I adjusted my language, the way I spoke, and I quickly learned the language, learned how the culture works. And that's what the beauty of being human is, we're able to adapt and change. And of course, after, like, when I got when I grew up, I've actually learned how it's important to not adapt to the culture too much. Because I think the problem then I realized when I started, listening to hip hop, wearing my pants down my ass, and being part of that culture, I realized I'm just following the culture. I'm not actually being myself.
Yeah.
And then I went through that stage of like actually going back to and realizing what is authentic to me, what is important to me, what do I really like, what kind of music do I really like, what do I really want to do, and really get out of the bubble. So it was kind of a great experience for me how when you're put in this environment, it's for all of us humans, it's like survival, and we don't want to kind of stand out, we adapt. I think especially from Sweden, from Europe, that's where it's all about. It's all about like, don't stand out, be the same. And I think in a way it is still here. They just have a different style of fitting in. It's a different culture. And so for myself, I just went through that cycle of fitting in, getting into it, learning everything, and then realizing like, what's important to me. And then I kind of evolved and moved on from there. So that was just kind of my thing. It's just like adjusting, readjusting, and moving on.
Yeah, and I think all like immigrants, even though I was born in Sweden, my parents were immigrants, and I always in a way kind of felt like an immigrant. Not in a bad way, but my parents still, they worked really hard. We bought like our clothes in like basically the Walmart of Sweden.
Yeah.
And like when my friends bought like the Nikes, I had I think there was a brand called Lion or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That your parents think is the same fucking shoes, but they're not for in the school, right?
Yeah,
then you're a nerd, basically. So
it's a different class.
It's a way different class.
It exists as you get older too.
Yeah, but your parents my parents didn't realize that. Did you feel that same way, that you felt like a little bit different in a way?
Oh, for sure. So same thing. Like I also, like my mom didn't have money, so I would have to go to, it was called Zellers in Canada for anybody, that store went bankrupt. But it was like the top, like the bottom tier of a department store where you just get whatever clothes there. And of course, you feel a little less than, but then you also like I said, in my own journey, I'm really grateful that I adapted beyond it. Like, and as I said before, because even now, the same stuff still exists. Yeah. And now more than ever, I realize how much of bullshit it really is. And it's like, don't play into that. Don't buy shoes because other people are buying, or don't get this car or this house or whatever because other people are doing it. It's like, even now, I live in London, I can buy a Ferrari if I want to. Yeah. Like what some of my neighbors have. I live in a very expensive neighborhood, West London, but I choose to just ride a bike. And I don't even own a bike. I just get one of those bikes you just like rent and you go off. And I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I'm able to question the culture and reality and be like, what is really important to me? Do I really need that like fancy car? No, it's not gonna make me happy. And I think that's been kind of one of the things on my journey, is just realizing and questioning a lot of stuff that society makes us do, right? So I think I just, especially now, I'm really on this journey of like redefining success. Because even with you, like your whole podcast, like I love success, but like what is success? So I'm kind of like, a lot of us, even myself, we choose to, especially in America, we choose to focus and look at people with financial success. But more and more, I'm like, my mom is like none of that. She's not financially literate or good at like the basic terms of whatever. But I think she's one of the most successful people in the world.
Because she's happy, right?
She's happy, but I think even society like makes her feel bad for not being productive, for not making as much money as other people, because she's maybe not good at that. But to me, she's successful because like she's raised two incredible, healthy kids who have their own families. They're independent as children, which I think is a lot to say for a lot of people in society, right? And most importantly, she's trying to just live life and do good for others. And I think we have to really put more and focus the attention to just regular people in our society who are just living and maybe normal lives, but are doing great things. So I'm kind of on that journey and that tip, because in a way I've also been sold that dream, the American dream. I've lived it. I'm a product of it, but I can also be honest and say like, it's not what it's cracked up to be.
No, I love that. And I love that you're saying that you want to redefine success, because that's actually what I'm trying to do. And I want to show that there's many different ways of being successful. And like when you were talking about your mom, I just thought about my grandfather, who's probably the happiest man. I would say maybe the most successful person I know. And he had 2 cows.
Yeah.
You know, he had 2 cows in this little village called Germian in Macedonia. And that was it. And he had a beautiful wife. He raised beautiful kids. He had peace of mind. He didn't have anything evil in his mind or a hidden agenda with anything he did. You know, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And then I think being, like, as you said, like him being unconditional, having that life. And I think a lot of media and culture that is really passed on to a lot of us really teaches people the wrong idea, right? And I'm the same thing. I'm part of that breed who's bought into it, but now having, you know, the reason I think it's important to communicate, or especially from my side, because I've actually done it. Like I've actually crossed that side of financial freedom and becoming successful. And it's important to, like, a lot of times I think even myself growing up, we pay attention to a lot of these people. And I think it's important for them not to boast like, oh, hey, look at me, I'm so cool. But actually for me to say and be honest, like, hey, like you like doing your thing or being part of your community, even living in some village somewhere, some 2 cows, you in fact may be happier than this guy driving this Ferrari in Beverly Hills. You know, and you shouldn't try to chase that or make yourself feel bad for living this life, right? And that's why I'm even how I started speaking to you about this podcast. I went from this journey myself of adjusting and trying to be what society, whatever I got dropped in at that time, which is in Canada. And then coming out of it, even then growing up and realizing, hey, this is not for me. And I think that's like, if for everyone, I think listening right now, I highly encourage for them to really question their own choices in life and say like, why are you doing it? Like, why are you buying this car? Or because a lot of the world, and I've noticed I've been here for now, like I think over 6 weeks in US, and coming from Europe, you just realize how like capitalistic this system is, especially here. It's everywhere around the world, but we're in the Mecca of it. And I think especially a lot of people who are listening to this or think they have to really question that, because a lot of times there's these trillions of ad dollars spent to get you to buy, to get you to consume, to get you to do stuff. It's great, it provides people jobs and money, but at the same time I think it's important for people to realize, like, if you can be on that journey of, and hey, if for you it's being entrepreneurship and you're really hungry and you're into money, sure, cool, do your thing, it makes you happy. But I think for a lot of people that I know, that I've met, it's like, it just makes them feel bad, right? And that's why I think it's important to start having this different conversation. And I hope to see other people on I Love Success podcast of like, maybe your grandpa, and get his story. I know. Go to Macedonia.
I know, you know, God bless his soul. He's passed away. But I always think about that, and I always try to share different stories, and because I think we can learn from everybody.
Of course.
And it's all about human connection and seeing people for who they are, not what you have. I'm a little bit curious about like you, because I know people who don't know your story. I encourage them to listen to your podcast, The Icons. I want to go a little bit deeper here today and kind of see like where did your initial drive come to start businesses? Because I know you were always hustling in a way, right? So was that a pain point that came from, or did it come from the pleasure of making money? Or
no, totally. I think there was no pleasure, I think, for me making money, or I'm not super driven, and I'll get into that, how actually being able to create the life that I have. I think for me the pain point is not having money.
Yeah.
And the reason a lot of what I spoke about now is kind of counterintuitive. It's like, yeah, it's easy for you to say, like, yeah, you don't have that money problem now, and you can talk about this, how it's not important. And a lot of people talk about that. But at the same time, I can relate, because I used to, like, that's what drove me to make money, was not having money, and really growing up in circumstances where, you know, like I said, single mother. I remember at one point we were welfare, like mom going to like the food bank to like get food. Like I would just eat like pasta like every day, maybe some canned food if I'm lucky. So it was always like, so instead of shopping in these low-end department stores or, you know, having, even I remember one of my lowest points in my life is like around holiday time, they had like, you know, those services where they like give gifts to kids who are like poor. I like, someone was like, oh, come down to like, we lived in this apartment building, like they're giving away gifts. And I came down and I kind of like had this realization of like what this is. I'm like, oh, this is for poor kids. And like even now, like it almost like brings tears to my eyes. I'm like, I just felt so bad. And I'm like, that's why like I have this tricky situation about even like charity and giving. But like to me, it didn't make me feel bad. It didn't make me feel good. Because it was like, hey, you're the poor kid. Here's some free stuff for you, right? And I'm like, no, I want to make it like, I want to be able to create my own freedom. I want to be able to buy my own stuff of what I want, not what just something's handed down to me. And so that's like really where my drive really came from to create financial freedom in my life. It was really, from not having enough. And really from that fear of not being accepted, of just not having something. And I think for a lot of us, that is where the drive comes from. But I also now realize what point is it healthy or not? Because I think a lot of times where you see this is like people who are just keep going, just keep making money. In a way, it's like they're trying to fulfill a void that's there. It's like I had a void, I filled it, but when I filled it, I realized like that's not the void. You know, so to me on my journeys, it was really like from that, the drive came from not having it. But having achieved it, I was like, meh, it's not a big deal. Like I was really happy when I was like broke and with my mom or going and visiting maybe even Russia and things like that. So it's not a big deal.
It's, you know, it's so interesting. Like I just look at things that I have done in my life and I think about, if the like 10-year-old me would dream about the things that I have done in my life, I don't think that person would be able to see those things. But now when I've done it, is not a big deal, right? So what do you want to say to people out there that maybe are in that situation now and they want to create it, they want to see how it feels to climb that mountain? Like, what do you want to say to them?
I say if you want to do it, do it. There's nothing wrong about trying to climb that mountain, but I think what I would say after, you know, build multiple businesses, having had that success, I think I also realized not everyone's going to get as lucky as me. And what I mean by that is, and even talking about luck and putting that in perspective, like luck is more about timing and being at the right place at the right time and being prepared, as they say. And you can be the hardest worker, you can be the smartest person in the room, and you may still not get your lucky break. Just because like maybe you're doing that thing that is the right thing to do, but just not at the right time. That doesn't mean what you're doing is the wrong thing. So with that, I then kind of urge people to really recalculate. If you're gonna go try to reach this mountain of like, hey, I want to achieve financial freedom or I want to make money, just make sure you're doing the work that you actually enjoy doing, or running the business that you yourself love running. So now, you know, we've sold our hair business, which we talked about in the intro. You know, it was a great, successful business. To be honest, we sold early, meaning I could have, you know, it's been a year, it's about almost a year right now, exactly. Right now as we're speaking, a year. Like we sold it December 18th. Last year, a year since I got that massive check in my bank account. And all I can tell you, the reason we did it is because it was a great business. We could have made it even more bigger, make more money. We just realized for ourselves, this is not the type of thing that I want to be focused on in my life.
It's not your journey. Yeah.
It's not like it was my journey. I'm really grateful for it. I'm grateful for all those customers. I really believe the reason, once again, we got that success and money is because we added value to the world, meaning we added value to that marketplace of beauty and things like that. We did something that other people weren't doing, and people and customers rewarded us by giving their money. That's all there is. Like that's business. That's the simple of it. It's not complicated. You know, give people something of value, they'll give you money. Like that's how it works. And for me now, I've shifted my focus, and recently also bought out I had a business partner in the intelligent change business, and now own it fully. And with that business, I'm excited to own it and be on that journey in that business of intelligent change of the 5-dimensional productivity planner, because this is what I'm genuinely interested in. You know, I'm not as interested about hair and beauty as I am about personal development and helping people change their mindset. And if I can, it's a lot more fulfilling. It's great. We make before women happy on their wedding days, and they met their partner and they look beautiful. It's that's awesome. Yeah. However, it's next level when you help people overcome depression, and they're able to have joy and happiness in their lives, or become more productive and be able to achieve their dreams. To me personally, that's what I enjoy. And if I'm also really grateful to, that business is successful, we make money. But I'm saying, even if I was just on that journey of starting out again and had nothing, and I would skip that level of being that hair business. Like I said, I'm really grateful for that, but I would just go straight into how can I actually be in the industry that I'm passionate about. Because the reality, once you get to that luck and that opportunity, it is difficult. And it is difficult to a certain degree. There'll be, I would say difficult, there's challenges. Like say, if you're gonna climb a mountain, everyone gets a different path. Your path that you're on might be more difficult than my path or your path or somebody else's path. And you have to be prepared to be on that path of climbing. Everyone's gonna have to climb. There's gonna be challenges in front of you. And if you're not fully into, what you're doing, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to tap out versus that other person who's a lot more hungrier and who's a lot more into it than you are. And I think that's what really differentiates a lot of success from people who make it who don't. It's pure mindset, and it's and how bad do they want it? Yeah. And different people have different reasons for why they want it, but I really believe in, for most of us as people, it's our purpose and our drive, or of our why are you doing this stuff, that's really gonna get you through those challenges or the dark days when things don't work out. Yeah. And I can guarantee you, there'll be situations like that, and that's fine, that's normal. Because I think a lot of us, even myself included, you may follow me, you may look at my Instagram or my wife's Instagram, but you just see the highlights.
Of course, yeah.
I'm not sharing with you literally yesterday where I was my hair popping out, just somebody just majorly screwed up, right? In one of our business, major. It was I haven't had a situation like that in years. And it's 12:30 at night, and I'm just literally what the hell is going on? And I'm trying to put out this fire and solve this problem. I don't share that. Sometimes I do, maybe I shared it recently, but I think most of the time you won't see that. So people get this idea of hey, this is what success is. You, with your family, you have all this free time, and you travel, and you're in these beautiful places, and you have this beautiful life. But no one knows the same thing, what happened last night, even on my beautiful life, after I had this beautiful hike with my daughter and my wife. Yeah. And I had to then go, after I put my daughter to sleep and have dinner, have this, things happen where I have to deal with it. Or when I was just starting out on my journey, it was even worse. Now at least, yes, easier. I have money, I can solve problems easier, but there's still problems. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be even harder when you're starting out with no money to solve problems. And you're about to run out of money and you have to figure it out. You better be driven and you better like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to just tap out, like, I just want to go back to my work, you know, like, let me just do the easy stuff. Nobody wants the challenges. But the reality is you will have to face it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, with great success comes great responsibility in a way. And I just, when you said that, I was just thinking about one of the first time I was selected with the national team. And so I was the best in Sweden, going with the national team. Yeah, it was cool. And you get a little bit of confidence. Then I went to this tournament called Paris Open. In Paris, there's competitors from like 60, 70 countries. And, you know, you're pumped up. And then like the first fight, the guy, like, he wrapped me up, like sent me home in like 30 seconds. Like, where do you go from there, Alex? Where you like think you're pretty good, but reality hits in and you know you suck, right? So this is a reality for many people that start a business, right? It happens all the time. Now you go back to the drawing board and like 90% of people quit. So why, I just asked myself, why did I continue? And I think for me it was that drive that I wanted to become better. It was not about winning in a sense, but more about like, how good can I be at this sport or martial art in this moment, you know? And like we see it all the time, a lot of people, they want to do something, but when it's hard, they quit, right? So is that, what, if I understand you right, when you start questioning yourself, you got to go back to your why. Like, and if you're not aligned, you need to change something. Is that right?
Yeah, I think in a way, I love that question. I love your analogy. I can highly relate to it.
True story. You feel good.
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I think if we can't, we're just not being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
I think what you communicate is so important. This is the reality you're gonna face when you're competing, especially now. The reason it's more difficult than ever now, it seems easier than ever, but it's also more difficult than ever because we live now in this global society. We're now competing on a global level.
Yeah.
It's not even you're competing it's the same thing, right? You compete in Sweden and you're like the best.
Yeah.
You go to Paris on this like European one, all of a sudden this like Joe from Italy just kicks your ass right in 30 seconds. You're like, whoa, what just happened? So that's why I love it. Like, I think it really communicates so well.
It's almost like the local shoe store competing with Amazon or Zappos, right? And they don't understand, or Apple, they don't know what the fuck happened, right?
Yeah, what's going on? But I love this question. I love the way you phrase it. For me personally, and it's the same thing. I think when you look back, and I think to anybody listening, when you're starting out a business, you may feel like that. You're like, what's the point even?
Yeah.
You know, I can't compete with even Alex now. Let's say in the previous beauty space, which was to the level of how it looks now, the business, how polished it is. Even though the other day, like, they sent, we're no longer part of the business, but they sent, to my wife products so she can wear them, maybe talk about them. And like, it's so great, it's such a polished brand. You receive this booklet, everything's so pretty, everything there's this great website, everything's thought out of it. But it took a decade to get there. If you look at how it's like when the business first started, I did the website by myself. I didn't know how to code. I just got some template. I just kind of figured it out. So where I'm getting to is I love this example by Ira Glass, I believe his name. He's this great speaker and producer of NPR radio. And Ira Glass has this thing called The Gap. And you can look it up online, but I'm going to kind of summarize it. And The Gap is, to me, one of the most important concepts that I take away, and I always remind myself and I share with others. And the gap is basically realizing, hey, you may want to be this great kickboxer or business person or swimmer or a dancer, whatever you want to be, right? You have this vision how you can be this great top of the world or one of the best in your community or the world scale, whatever that is. You have this vision. The reality though, you're not there. Yeah. So there's this big gap that exists between where you want to go and where you are now. And what he speaks about there in that example is that in this gap is where most people drop off, right? Because they start doing the work that they're doing and they see that they suck. And then they're like, oh, I suck. Look at Alex, or look at you and your karate stuff. And I'm not like that. Yeah. Or you'll say you face that guy and you're like, that's it, I'm out. But what is important to remind yourself is that this gap exists, and this gap exists for everybody. And in order to cross it, you have to show up and do the work. And when you show up and do the work, day in, day out, and just focus on, yes, that vision and that why of why you want to improve and where you want to get to. But the most important part is really just showing up and doing the work and reworking on your craft. And in that time of showing up and being a student, learning and wanting to get better and wanting to get to that vision is how you get across the gap. Right? But at the same time, I think the important reminder is like, yes, if you want to be an MBA and you're like 5'5" and you really don't have those abilities, and not to say like sure people can't be in an MBA, you can. There's been guys who are 5'5" who have been in an MBA, but the odds are really stacked against you. Yeah. So you have to understand like what is actually within the realm and possible. And I think in regards to entrepreneurship, it's actually fairly possible. I would actually say I would disagree in regards to like when Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, talks about like, hey, you have to be like a professional entrepreneur. I think like those like to be a professional basketball player, that's very difficult. Yeah. I think entrepreneurship to a certain degree can be taught, but most importantly, not taught. It can be you can learn about it, and the way you learn about it is really it's a game of mindset. And the guys who succeed in business, most of the time, even myself included, it's just that mindset of understanding that it's possible to do it. And so that's what I would just really complete that thought on the gap, is learning like you have this gap to cross, you have to cross it, and there'll be this period of time, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. Hey, look at those guys. I think he wouldn't start KFC or McDonald's or those fast food chains. Those were old guys. And that's the important thing to understand, is that you will get better as you go on your craft. And that's why I think, to me, even now, this is the most exciting part, is showing up, is learning, is doing, and just getting better every day. Otherwise, just sitting on the beach and like drinking more margaritas isn't that fun. Like it gets pretty boring real fast.
It gets old, yeah. And I think especially if you're a person, like talking about success and happiness, and I think service to others, like in whatever field you're doing, is gonna give you some sense of happiness, right? And that's why I want to talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing now and kind of honor that, because I think it's super cool. You built a business, amazing business, sold it, and now like, hey, we have this other thing that we really want to grow now, which comes from a place of passion, right? So can we just talk a little bit about that? Like, what's the 5-minute journal for people who haven't heard about it? How came the idea? And then I want to kind of transition into like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, for sure. So Intelligent Changes are our other company that we've also had since 2013. And 1 second. Yeah. Get some water. Yeah. A water break. Yeah, so Intelligent Change is the other company that we had since 2013. 5-Minute Journal was the first product. How that started was really, it's just a coincidence to a certain degree. One of my acquaintances at that time, who became my best friend, wanted to have a business. I think like, as so many people now, he read the 4-Hour Work Week, as I have read the 4-Hour Work Week, say, hey, I want to have a lifestyle business and travel the world and have this thing. So when you need a lifestyle business, you need a muse. You need an idea that will allow you to support you create this thing. And that was what like my first experience was with building our business. We didn't have this goal. That's what I guess separates us as well. We didn't have the goal of building an empire and making tons of money. Our goal at the beginning with my wife was make $1,500 each. That means we make $3,000 and I live with my mom and then we can travel the world. That was the plan, right? It was not about making millions of dollars and like living in London. That was not the dream at all. That's not what we had in mind. And so with my friend UJ, who was my business partner, he just wanted a lifestyle business. And for a long time, he didn't have an idea. I think it was where a lot of people struggle. They don't have an idea. And I said, hey, like, what I can tell you right off the bat, it was my recommendation to him, having gone through that experience of creating a lifestyle business and making money fairly quickly, I told him, don't start it just for the sake of making money for the lifestyle. Actually create a product and business that you genuinely care about. The same thing I spoke to you earlier. So we were thinking, and one day, what really brought me and Jay close as friends is we love learning, we love improving, we love mindset and just, you know, self-growth, self-development, all that stuff. And we're just one day having these long hikes that we go on to just speak as friends about these ideas. And we're just discussing one book. And the book was called Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. It's a great book that just really summarizes, he used to be, I think, a TA at Harvard, a happiness course, and a student at Harvard as well. And he just really nails these simple positive psychology research and how gratitude and affirmations, all of these things are actually proven to help you live, you know, experience more joy and gratitude than people who don't practice it. You know, it's a simple practice. And I said, and UJ also had this practice where he would journal for like 1 to 2 hours a day. And he was like this avid journaler, keep all these journals, write so much, like meditate, do all these things. And I said, okay, here's the thing. Most people, including myself, don't have time. Even if we do have time, we're not going to choose to spend it that way. It's to go so hardcore into self-development. Like, I need a quick fix. Like, I just need a great, quick way that I can instill these best practices that, you know, Shawn Achor talked about in Happiness Advantage. Because what happens, like, the reason I had that idea is that what happens to most people? Number one, most people don't read books, right? Number one, most people don't even know what Happiness Advantage is or the book or anything like that. That's most people. They don't read books. Second, people who even read books don't even finish them, right?
I think it's 10% who actually finish a book.
I think it's even lower.
Yeah.
Right? They buy it, oh great, I have a book, and they don't finish it.
Yeah.
Third is even if you finish the book, let's say even if you read that book about happiness, you finish, you're like, oh look, Shawn talks about I should practice gratitude. He says how journaling can help you improve this thing, or like, you know, reviewing your day in positive, all that stuff. But even if you read the book and you have this knowledge of what to do, you don't actually practice it in your daily life. So then I was like, what we need to do, because one habit that I've instilled in my life that has like totally changed my life, and it's actually what I told UJ at the time, like, it's too simple, we can't monetize on this idea. And to this day, I still recommend it to everybody, is all I did in my journey on my come up to success, the biggest game changer, habit that I've instilled in my life was waking up in the morning and the first thought of the day to be the first thing, the one thing that I'm grateful for. That's it. That was the game changer for me. Because when you, especially at that time, when I started this practice, I was like at the low of my life. Meaning I was 17, my dad passed away, my my stepfather, which my mom was married to a year before, passed away. So I had these two figures in my life just vanish. I got in a basketball accident where I broke my hand, where they said I'm not gonna ever move my left arm again. And here I am also getting like high and drunk and doing all the sorts of stuff I shouldn't be doing. And also almost went to jail. So I had all these terrible things happen. About finishing, high school almost, about to graduate, not potentially getting to any school. It was just everything as bad as can happen for a teenager, that was me. And at that point, I think for what happens to most people, even if they are not at such lows, and this is what I experienced, you become a victim. You start blaming other people. Oh, it's because of my upbringing, it's because of the situations, it's because I'm poor, it's because of the government, it's because of this area I'm in. Start doing all these excuses. But instead, the thing that flipped my whole world was just realizing that, number one, I'm responsible. Yeah. And number two is, I have to be grateful for what I have. And actually start seeing, what do I have in my life? Because in those situations when life is hard, we just start focusing on all the things that we don't have. And that's why we feel unhappiness. Because we're like, oh, look at Alex. He has all that stuff. Look at me. Look at all these people. And I'm doing nothing. And you make yourself feel bad. Yeah. So instead, what I just started doing is and what people have, just from my own experience, I just started shifting my world and my mindset about, what do I have in my life? Hey, I'm healthy. I have my health, at least even if one of my arms, won't work, I still got my other arm. I can still walk, I can still see, I can still smell, I can still, eat. Amazing. And I started seeing, hey, I'm young, I have energy. Do you know how many billionaires would trade places if you're young and you're healthy? Yeah. All of them probably. To be young, healthy, and broke, they'll do it. Trust me. All of them will switch places with you. To be 80, 90 years old and about to die. Yeah. All of them will trade places with you. So we all have something to be grateful for. And so going to the idea of the 5-minute journal, I said, hey, if we can really create something. And I was really out of idea of I just want this product to exist for myself. At that point, I already have money. I wasn't hey, I'm going to make another business to make more money. I was just hey, my friend wants to do business. I want this product to exist. And that's what I told my friend at the time. I said, hey, let's do this. Let's create this product together, which will be basically a journal that will encapsulate and summarize all these practices that you should be doing in a quick 5-minute thing. Not an hour or 2 hours, but just in 5 minutes, because most people only have tops 5 minutes a day. And I said, we'll kind of create something what we coin is the toothbrush for your mind. Meaning something you do right when you wake up in the morning to get your mindset in that way. And the last thing you do before you go to sleep. So you really kind of lock those kind of positive mindset in. Because in my own experience, I am where I am. I'm no smarter than anybody. I know anything than anybody else. Yes, I have certain privileges that I've been given, but in a certain way, I still have to overcome a lot of things. And I think the biggest thing that most people have to overcome is simply their mindset. It's not that people are incapable; they just don't believe that it's even possible.
How do you overcome the mindset?
So practice, right? So that's what I'm kind of getting to is that you have to create a certain habit and practice in your life to help you ingrain those habits and those thought patterns every day. And so the reason the 5-minute journal has done so well is not because I'm some marketing genius, because I'm not, right? But all it is we're just one of the first companies. I just encapsulated to its simple core really methods of what can you do, and if you do this thing first thing in the morning, last thing at night, what can you do to remind yourself. And if you actually do it with emotion of, like I said, of the things that you're grateful for, of what will make today great, right? Looking forward to the good that will happen today. What good is going to happen to you today? And actually focusing and priming your mind on that. Because once you do that, you laser focus, your brain, we're all smart. We have these powerful navigation systems. And if you focus in on what you want and you kind of visualize it, It will take time, but basically your subconscious will start driving you to get there. It's like, hey Alex, every day in the morning you keep writing the same thing. Because a lot of people also ask me, do I write the same thing in my journal? Do whatever you can. For me, a lot of times it is the same things that I'm grateful for. It's the same things what I'm looking forward to, right? My affirmation's the same every day. And you just tell your mind, and you kind of just knock it in there to your subconscious that this is what is important to you. And this is the beauty of the world. Look at this planet. Everything's been created by people, right? And it's been created by people who were driven to create something. And you can do the same in your mindset, with your mindset and the help of that. And so to like answer that second part of your question is, you need to create some sort of a daily practice. Like I said, this is why it's like brushing your teeth. You know, you don't just have dental hygiene. We all brush our teeth, most of us. You know, if we're even go to the step level, we also floss. But the reason we do that is because we need to upkeep that hygiene to make sure we have that clean state. And the same thing with your mindset. We just don't get taught in school or anywhere else that having a positive mindset or having a mindset that encourages you, that you can, that it is possible, that you do have good things in your life, right? If we don't encourage that, you're not going to get it. Because if you actually look at society and what most people are fed through school or through media, it's all fear. It's all how you're not enough, right? And how most likely you're not going to get anything, so just be quiet and go in the corner somewhere. Right? Most of it. Now it's changing with podcasts like this, our podcast, other people's podcasts. More, the message is spreading, is becoming different. But I'll say for predominantly most of our lives, it's pure fear. It's them against you. You're too small. You can't do that. You can't do that. So you have to create a new kind of language within your mindset, and it takes time. And I think most people are not willing to really invest, or most importantly, they don't even believe from the beginning that it's even possible. So that's what really stops most people, is that now I can really, like, I got to the point where I really believe anything is possible. It's just more about, like, do I want to do that? And I really feel empowered that, like, if I'm going to go out and try to become whatever, president of something or build some sort of a company, it's more like, do I actually want to be on that journey and do that? I think it's possible. It's just like, I understand the sacrifices it may take and what it will require of me, but it's possible to do it. It's just about doing it.
It's incredible. And I think the cool thing with, like, my soulmate Lillian, who introduced me to you and
awesome.
Mimi, and like,
thank you.
Yeah, she's like, you gotta see it. Like, for a long time I've been like, oh wow, your positive impact to the world. And like, Lily's doing the 5-minute journal every day, and it works because it is those small things. And to piggyback on that, I remember 2003, I went to watch a European championship in karate, to watch it. And when I watched that, it was amazing, but I never thought that I could be down there. But then it starts as a dream, like, hey, maybe I can be there. So it's those small steps, training your mind, right? And I think one of the big reasons why the 5-minute journal has been such a tremendous success and sold like 500,000 copies now, right, is because people see that it actually makes a difference, right?
If they do it. Yeah, I think a lot of people still to this day probably they just buy it, they feel good about it. Like it's the same thing with the idea of, I told you about books.
Yeah.
It's not about just starting something.
Yeah.
You know, say most people just get a gym membership.
Yeah.
But you have to go to the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't forget that part. It's like, just because you have the gym membership doesn't make you lose weight. Like, it'll make you maybe lose a little weight because you have some sort of placebo working.
Yeah.
But you still have to go out and do the work. So I think the same thing with our other product, the productivity planner. It's like, even myself personally, or even with the 5-minute journal, like I've been there where I've been off it for some time.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh, I don't need it anymore.
You get into a groove and then like, hey, I don't need it. And
yeah. You're like, it's the same like, you know, if you exercise long enough, you're like, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But what happens once you stop working out?
I know. It's crazy.
You deflate. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is you have to make it a lifestyle. Yeah. And not to diminish it, like I really, in a way, guarantee like if people listening or watching, whatever you are, if you do that kind of practice of doing something like the 5-minute journal for even one of them for like 6 months, and you have to commit for at least like 6 months, it will change you, right? And it will have long-lasting effects. But after time, you still need to, most importantly, create this habit for yourself. So even what I take from you till this day is still that practice of like when I hop in the shower or when I wake up, I think of what I'm grateful for. Yeah. And that always keeps me in check. It always keeps me grounded in any situation. Just to remember like just appreciation. Yeah. Thank you. That's what, because a lot of people don't even get like what is gratitude, what is gratefulness. But it's just appreciation, just saying thank you. Yeah. And I think I always have this message of like, you know, it'll say even if people believe in the universe, God, whatever, it's like, or even just in your own circle, like what kind of people do you want to do good for? Is like, imagine if you, to your, you know, soulmate, Lillian, right? You give all the time, even unconditionally, but she's not appreciative of what you do. At one point you're gonna be like, yo, screw you. Yeah. And like, you're like, I'm gonna go like to this person and maybe they'll appreciate what I do. And it's the same thing even like, let's say in employee satisfaction. You know, whenever I hire people, the most important thing that I've always asked, like, why are you now coming to work somewhere else? Why did you leave your job? Yeah. I would say majority, people don't feel appreciated. Yeah. So same thing in regards to if you believe in the universe and all that higher power, how do you expect the world or the planet or this higher energy universe to give back to you if you're not even appreciative for your life? If you're not even appreciative for the chances, for the opportunities to go out and create the life that you have. So that's, for me, that's how I see the world now. I'm always appreciative. I'm always grateful. Like I don't take anything for granted, and you know, and I don't complain. I have no reason to complain, and that's why even you can ask my wife or anything. Like there's no reason, because we're all so lucky. Even like when my thought always comes in, it's like, hey, I'm a human. I'm not a bug somewhere. I could have been a termite in this carpet right now. That could have been my life. But here I am, be able to like have this different whole next level experience of being this human being. And that's already a lot to be appreciative of.
Of course. I mean, I love that. And like speaking about, a lot of people talk about unconditional love, but like, I might be wrong, but the only unconditional love that is out in the world is basically the love the mother has for its kids, right?
Yeah. That's not guaranteed.
Not even that is guaranteed, right? But so how do you take intelligent change to the next level? Because I love, like Lily just said, you gotta listen to the Ikonn's podcast, and you were talking about we're gonna create this and we're gonna do something new. And you know, when I meet or hear people, I was like, this is fucking cool, because you don't have to do this, but you gotta do it. So like, what's the idea? What are you envisioning for intelligent change and the impact that you guys are going to do?
Oh yeah, I think overall, it's not just for us. I think it's a lot of people can be on it. Yeah. We're living through a time where more and more, even like what you do or so many other people or we do, is that we need to build communities, and we need to help empower people to believe like a better reality is possible. And I'm saying better in every way. I'm saying also for the environment. How do we create a better environment, not just mentally, but also physically? How do we make sure we don't screw up this planet and we can still live here, right? That's part of that whole movement of how do we create a better world. And I think we're also shifting, including us and what we talked about, a lot of people are realizing that this whole capitalistic, materialistic system of just consuming stuff doesn't really give you happiness. So as a company's intelligent change, like our mission, for what I see, is like, how do we help people be on that path and that journey to create the life that they want? not the one that Alex says is cool, but how do we actually get people to self-actualize, to live their best life? You know, one of the huge inspirations for the company is Maslow.
Yeah.
And with a lot of, you know, they say, oh, Maslow hierarchy of needs is not really a pyramid, there's all this stuff. But I still inherently believe that we as humans all have this inherent drive to self-actualize. You know, to become the best version of ourselves in whatever way that is possible. You know, for some people, it's just becoming the best version of yourself. Like you'll say, you're like your grandpa, living somewhere in the village of Macedonia, raising his cattle and having that life. But him just being best version of him as his human element. And so with us, intelligent change is like, how do we provide people the tools, whether it be digital, physical, whether it be community centers, you know, whatever it may be, to help bring people together and help people, give them those tools like the toothbrush for your mind, like the 5-minute journal and other things, to change their mindset. Because I'm a big believer that once you're able to change the way you think and change your thoughts and change the words that you use on a daily basis, your life will shift. And the reason I say that is because I've personally experienced it. If I was not exposed to such information from other people or books or literature and things of like how your thoughts become your reality and actually practice it and make it real, and not just like money, I'm talking about like the thing that I think I'm most really happy about in my life is like I have an incredible relationship. I have a beautiful, healthy daughter, right? And but I think especially my relationship with my wife and Mimi is like, it's something to be really appreciative. Like it's in today's time, relationships are not easy. And you know, I am really grateful for that we have such a bond, that have such a relationship. And that's what I value. So how do we, as a company, really help people even just realize the riches they already have in their lives? So it's really then growing and developing in regards to just helping be part of people's daily routines and just being there for them, so that to just remind them or help them on whatever journey they're in, whether it be in work or just mental state, to that it's good, you know, and everything is possible. And if you want to be on this journey, you can be on it, you can be supported. So that's kind of our thing. But I think right now, even after visiting here, what I realize is like, even for ourselves, we don't have this like ambitious, grandiose plan of like, hey, we're gonna take over the world. It's just like, we will impact the people that are ready and that will impact, and we'll just move kind of at our own pace. And you know, to anybody listening who wants to join us, like check us out. You can find me on Instagram, Alex Ikonn, or my wife, Mimi Ikonn. Whether you're in London or LA, you want to be part of our company, we are hiring. Awesome, you know, like come join us on this journey. And I think the other part is really learning with other people. I don't have the answers, like I don't have the solutions to everything. How can we work with other people who are able to provide those solutions to other people's problems as well? Like the 5-minute journal was really born out of idea of a problem that I had. And I just wanted a simple tool like that. I was just creating for myself. I wasn't thinking of like other people and like how it's gonna like change everybody's lives. I just wanted to help myself.
Isn't that so cool? Like how things can change, like an idea, and all of a sudden, like it's not all of a sudden, but 6 years later, it's 500,000 copies, right?
Yeah, and we're still. I think so. We're still at the beginning.
Isn't that?
We're really like a lot of here, like in maybe in LA, more people know about it. But I think what's exciting to me is it's just starting.
Yeah.
Like it's still early days. Not even to even add on to even those like 500,000 copies or so. We've inspired to a certain degree a huge movement in a lot of these journals. There's like 6-minute journals, 1-minute journals. There's like bestseller, all those stuff. Like we came before all of those.
Yeah.
You know, and I can see when I look in a lot of those journals, you can see the resemblance of that design that I've created.
Which is cool, right?
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying, like I kind of look at it like kind of actually like a smile, like that's so cool that, you know, me, some kid in my kitchen somewhere on a plane sometimes, having designed this and then influence culture. So in a way, I'm saying we're creating this whole movement, and as people, more and more people are getting on that movement, and they want these kind of products. So I really believe there's enough for everybody, and it's really about how do we just encourage each other to improve. So I'm just excited. Like this is just the beginning.
This is awesome. You know, I'm all on board about making the world a better place and actually taking time doing that. You know, and seeing other people and knowing that, you know, one of the best things about doing a podcast is that you realize that most people, they're just regular people who went for it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's some timing, of course, and then there's like the courage, but it's not rocket science. So everybody who's looking and listening to this, there's opportunity there to create what you want to do in your life. So what do you want to say to someone maybe in Siberia or Macedonia or like a small town in Canada or Japan that are like watching or listening to this now and think, yeah, this is all good, but where do I start?
I think it's a great question. I think intuitively, you know. And I think it's important to not get sidetracked by such podcasts as this or ours, and actually listen to yourself. Yeah. I think the most important thing you can do is actually take that quiet time. So for some people, meditation works, or it can be taking walks or doing whatever, anything else. But to really ask yourself those hard questions of what do I enjoy doing? You know, what do I take pleasure in? And if you don't know, it's fine. Try different things out and then assess how you feel. And I think that's the most important part, is really being honest with yourself and be like, am I doing this because everybody else is doing this? Like, am I doing the 5-minute drill because other people are doing it? Hey, like maybe if it helps you out, great. But don't do it because other people are don't just go blindly into something. Yeah. And I think it's important, you can try it out, go into it, do it. If you see some improvements, great. If you don't, it's fine. Move on to doing something else. And I think, so in my own journey, it's really been following that gut instinct of, you know, what should I do next? And like same thing, like I said about my relationship with my wife. Like I proposed to Mimi when we were broke, living in my mom's house, and I just felt like I should get married to her. I was 21. All my friends thought I was stupid, and literally I had my best friend talk to me and say, like, Alex, like, you're making a big mistake. Like, you're like early 20s. Like, what do you think you're doing? Like, getting married so early? Like this is not smart. Best decision of my life. And to kind of answer that other question, like, what gives you the drive? Mimi, my wife, she's driven one. I'm inherently really chilled out. Like I can be on vacation forever. I can just like peace out and like not do much. She's more of like the one that's like, hey, let's make this happen. Let's do this. What are we doing here? I can just breeze. However, I'm so grateful for her in my life, and I'm grateful to have that bond and partnership. And I'm in that relationship because I went for it. Because I followed my gut instinct and I said, let's do it. Same thing with our business, our first business. Let's do it. Why not? I have a good feeling on this. You know, and I think a lot of people talk themselves out of certain things or they listen to other people who will talk them out of things. And even if you have a certain gut instinct, and I had those as well, and it doesn't work out, it's fine. It's your experience. There's lessons in that. And in reality, it's preparing you for something maybe bigger even to come. So before even our first business took off, for 2 years, we pretty much failed. We tried different other things, it didn't work out, whatever. But it's actually what I was doing at the time, so just to give reference to people, I was doing social media consulting in 2008. Right, 2008, I was trying to sell businesses that you can sell on YouTube and Twitter, all these tools, social media tools. That's gonna be like the next thing to help drive your business. Nobody believed me, nobody bought my services. But in me learning about those things and failing and coming to a point like, hey, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to kind of prove to others that you can actually use YouTube to drive business. That's exactly what we did. You know, so kind of those things prepare me to then step into that success. And the same thing now, you know, so with different company, I'm excited what I'll be doing at 40. You know, like think about it. Like we're now entering this next decade of like, we're 2020, we're going to this new decade. Like just create a vision for yourself, even to whoever you are in this world, right? Don't look short term. Where are you going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And just kind of really visualize and see towards, most importantly, not just the monetary success you may want to gain, but actual life you want to live. And I think that's what I guess to end that question is really to summarize, really visualize and picture what life do you want to have. Not the stuff you have, but the life. Who are the people around you? What does your everyday day look like? I think that's what will really help guide you. How do you want your life to look like? Is it like doing karate, you know, every day? Is it, you know, just grabbing barbecue with your friends on the weekend? Whatever it is, because it's different for everybody. And I respect that. I encourage everyone to just, you know, really follow their thing, but at the same time still question, like, are you having those barbecues once again just because you want to fit in, or are you watching soccer or football with your buddies and drinking beer because you want to fit in, or do you actually really enjoy that? So for me, like, I can be honest and say, like, I care whatever about football, soccer, basketball, watching it. Like, I'll enjoy it to play it, but to me, to go to a pub on the weekend and watch some football, like, I've tried it. I'm like, it doesn't make me feel good. I'm not gonna do this just to fit in and be with some people who give me some sort of like partnership here. So really question everything and just start doing stuff because you actually want to do it, and it's helping you to be that vision of yourself that you want to be. And the best exercise that I've ever done in my life, and to this day I still do it, I'll be redoing it right now this month at the end of this year, is really visualizing where you're going, how does it look like, what do you look like your life, not stuff. Like your life, your emotions, how do you feel, how do you wake up, how do you look like, all those things. Who are the people around you? Like really get that clear and then go towards that. That's what I say.
I love that, and I like that leads me to the last question, which
we're still here.
I think, you know, it's so amazing that like an hour in, I think we're an hour plus now, and it goes so fast. You know, this is I think it's the one time in my life, except for martial arts, where like there's no distraction, total presence. You know, listening and learning and like just exploring.
Yeah.
So the last question I want to ask you, and I think you kind of answered it, but it's like, if for people listening or watching this podcast, like what's the first thing they should do right after this podcast to get a little bit closer to their dreams?
The counterintuitive thing I would say is just chill out.
Yeah.
And why I say that is, even after if you're still with us here now, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Is still understand and give yourself space. You know, always give yourself that space of time of like, let things sink in. Because I think that's another thing that I realized from being here in US for some time, is like, it's go, 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 go.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, grow, 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 grow. Like keep growing, keep more, bigger, better, keep learning, feeding. Just chill. And what I mean by that is like absorb. And then get in touch with that voice inside you that will tell you where to go. You know, there's another great book. What is it called? I think it's he did one, Michael Singer, Untethered Soul, and he has another one. The basic premise of it, he just let go. Yeah. He's like, hey, whatever life guides me, like I'll do it. And I inherently, in a way, not just like chill out and do nothing. I just mean let your inner voice, to a certain degree, get in touch with that. Yeah. Like, what is it actually saying? What is it earning for? Because a lot of times, sometimes you can even have that success. You can have that even great relationship, money, business, all that stuff. But if you are actually listening to that voice, and that voice is not like, then inherently you know. So to anybody listening now, the best thing I can tell you to do, for yourself, or really don't even listen to me, is get in touch with that voice inside. Like, you, out of all people, know exactly what you need to do. Don't get sidetracked to be an entrepreneur if you're not an entrepreneur. If there's a really inner calling, do that. But just don't do stuff, like, really question that. Like, just question everything. Like, chill out, question stuff, and then proceed at your own pace. Because it can be very, same thing, I think, listening to these podcasts sometimes, or talks or things, it can be very discouraging. I've been there myself. I've been there right before I started my business. I went to this one of my, biggest inspirations is Seth Godin. Yeah. My favorite book of all time is Lynchpin. I remember I went to a live talk, hear him speak in Toronto. This guy's like one of my heroes. I was depressed after that talk. Have you ever had that? Like, you see these successful people talk, and you actually don't feel empowered. You actually don't feel inspired. You're like you just feel depressed. And this is why I say to kind of end it on with, is really get in touch with that voice, get in touch with those feelings. If you need that space to a little feel sorry for yourself, give that time to yourself. But then remember what you're here to do, recovering, and just keep moving. Take that step forward. And this is how I got to where I am now, is where I'm still going. Is I still have those moments. Like I said, I did last night. I was really not in my own self. But I just remember, it's hey, just this mess, you can clean it up, chill, take a pause, and reframe, and just keep going forward. So but at your own pace, do what you can. The reason I kind of really put emphasis on it, I really believe many of us are doing things not for the right reasons. We're doing it for social validation. We're doing it to fit in, and it makes us end up in the wrong, buying the stuff we don't need. It makes us be with the people we don't want to be with, and I think inherently we'll be all happier if we just get in touch with ourselves. And sometimes if you need to be alone, be alone. Yeah. Don't get into stuff just for the sake of stuff.
Alex, you're a wise man, and I can really tell that you have had time to think about these things, not only from a perspective of being successful, but also from a perspective of having to deal with these pain points in your life. So I really appreciate all your input here today, that you took the time to come and share. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
And thank you everybody for watching and listening to this special episode with Alex Ikonn here. As I told you in the beginning, I want to help and empower at least 10 million people to go after their dreams and live the life they want. So if you're one of those people, please share this with somebody who needs to hear this message, and go after it in your own pace, just like Alex said it. If you want more information about Alex and what they do, you can check out alexikon.com, right? The Icons podcast, which is a great podcast if you want to hear a little bit more in depth of how they started Luxy Hair, Intelligent Change, and it's really good. You can also follow them and on social media, Alex Ikonn. Check out the 5-minute journal, which I would encourage people to do because it is actually a great tool, and my soulmate is happier and doing amazing things because of it, and she actually writes things about me in it as well.
You guys should do it together.
Yeah, that's the next step. Gift. Yeah, that's the next step, and no one is perfect. I'm learning, and also check out ilovesuccess.co. We have more than 150 of these conversations. You can also get a couple of free chapters of my book called The Goal Book. Enough with talking, go out and live and chill, like Alex said. Thank you.